This is Opposing Viewpoints. I'm Tatum Everett, and it's 49ers week. The Vikings, with a thrilling victory over the Packers this weekend, now sets up a pivotal game against the 49ers with playoff implications on the line. We've got Vikings team reporter Eric Smith alongside me today, and it was a border battle for the books, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, in my 6 seasons, it was probably the most exciting border battle that I've been a part of, and it helped to get a win. That always makes it more exciting. But on to San Francisco now, as Tatum said, a big, big game. So let's break it down.
And here to help us break it down via Microsoft Teams is San Francisco 49ers senior reporter Keiana Martin. Keiana, thank you so much for being here. I know it's West Coast time, so we appreciate you being here. And it's a very similar story to the Vikings for you guys, 3-5, and now 2 weeks in, we're both 5-5 and looking at those playoffs.
I feel like it's almost a similar story between both of these teams. You have teams who had a couple of question marks earlier in the season, but look at probably about week 10, week 11, kind of hitting their stride. And now, as you just said, there's so much on the line when you're looking at week 12. You're looking at that playoff picture, 49ers, Vikings in that mix, kind of eyeing those 3 last spots in that NFC wildcard picture, obviously with the playoffs expanding this year. But now you have teams that, as they're extending, someone's going to go home unhappy following Sunday's game. And the way both teams are playing, I feel like it's going to be a really tough matchup for both the 49ers and the Vikings on Sunday.
Yeah, Keiana, the Vikings obviously know the Niners well. They saw them in the playoffs a couple years ago. That did not go well for Minnesota. But I would say the Vikings are probably playing with the most confidence they have so far this season. They're obviously coming off back-to-back wins. And as we've talked about, and it will be harped on a ton, Sunday is a huge game, especially for playoff implications. Right now, the Vikings have a 59% chance to make the playoffs. That's courtesy of 538.com. If the Vikings win, that number jumps to 83%, and they have the head-to-head win over the Niners, and that will be big come Week 18. So a big, big game. It's Week 12, but it feels like the playoffs are right around the corner.
Keiana, after this 49ers offense started out slow, as you mentioned, Jimmy Garoppolo's been more efficient the last 2 games. The running game has started to come alive. What's led to this San Francisco offense turnaround?
It's so weird. I'd like to say this word because I feel like when you kind of look at this 49ers locker room and how they've been playing, it's almost like they got their swagger back. They got a little bit of that mojo that I think a lot of people are used to. You think of Kyle Shanahan and the way he calls plays. You look at their wide receivers, obviously their tight end, George Kittle. But I think one thing that's really important to notice is that there are a lot of questions surrounding this word identity. What is this 49ers identity? And earlier in the season, we couldn't necessarily put our finger on what it was. And I think as of late, the picture has become much more clear. They got back to what they know. That's that 49ers run game. You know Kyle Shanahan, he employs a run-heavy offense. You're seeing the guys kind of take the charge. You have Elijah Mitchell, who's been dealing with some things, and he's been playing through a lot of injuries, but the kid is really tough. Obviously, you're without Raheem Mostert, but you get Jeff Wilson, who recently came back. He's got that fresh set of legs. And then throwing a wrench in the plans, Deebo Samuel coming out, putting up 79 rushing yards, a career high. He's a wide receiver. He's a blocker. He's a running back. He's a Swiss Army knife in the 49ers offense. He can literally do it all. So he's also helped the 49ers kind of take that next step. And then you brought up Jimmy Garoppolo. He's playing clean. He's playing efficiently. Over the last 4 weeks, believe it or not, he has had the highest overall grade, according to Pro Football Focus, over the last 4 weeks. He's taken that next step, and hopefully I think the team is anticipating that maybe this offense has found their stride. And one other thing I have to note, they're learning to control the tempo. Time of possession has been one of the keys to their recent 2 wins over the Jaguars and the Rams. Nearly 40 minutes of holding the ball on offense out of a 60-minute contest.
That is just crazy.
They're playing ahead. Teams are trying to catch up, and it's really worked to the 49ers' benefit as of late.
Yeah, time of possession is always a big motto and a big point of emphasis for Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. But another one that he's really harped on literally all season is probably the Vikings' defense at the end of the first half, specifically in the final 2 minutes, and it has not been good, if we're being honest. The Vikings have given up 59 points in the final 2 minutes of the first half. That leads the NFL, or I guess it's at the bottom of the NFL. It depends on which way you want to look at it. It's not good. So the Vikings defense is up and down. You know, they were good early against Green Bay. They kind of struggled late. But if they can just fix that one area, you know, the final 2 minutes of the first half, that could probably lead to a little bit more overall success for the defense.
Speaking of defense, the 49ers have really become a stingy unit. Keiana, what's it going to take to get the job done on Sunday?
I love how you called that a stingy unit, but that wasn't the case the entire season. Going up, let's say up until about week 10, the team only had 5 takeaways through 8 or 9 games. That changed in week 10 and week 11. They've garnered 4 turnovers, 4 takeaways over their last 2 contests, a drastic turnaround than what we've seen earlier in the game. And that's been key. The guys, it's like the luck of the bounce. The bounce has not been going their way to open the season, and they've kind of started getting those, which has really helped giving that offense back the ball, which we literally just talked about how they've been able to kind of control that tempo. They've also held their last 2 opponents to under 10 points, and then they're also sitting in 6th in total defense, and then I believe it's 9th in passing. I might have that switched around, but sitting 9th in total defense, 6th in passing defense, and a lot of that goes to the credit of that pass rush. Everybody talks about the Nick Bosa's of the world, and rightfully so. He is a monster in year 3, coming off of an injury, leading the team with 10 sacks. But it's also some of the younger guys and maybe the lesser-known guys who are also stepping up. Arden Key, another pass rusher who's had 3 games of 3 straight sacks. He's been stepping up. DJ Jones, the nose tackle, this guy has had a fantastic season. The team is playing well. They're playing together. And much credit to, I know there are a lot of questions about the 49ers secondary, but having those veterans back there, it's so crazy to believe that at the midway point of the season, the team's actually getting healthier. But it's been certainly beneficial to have a lot of those veterans back there in the secondary.
Well, Keiana, you talk about guys stepping up for the Niners defense. The guys stepping up for the Vikings offense is no surprise, and it's a trio of the top playmakers they have, and that's Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook. And the Vikings relying on those players, especially in the past 2 weeks, has really been a winning formula, I'd say, especially against Green Bay. So the Vikings ran 70 offensive plays against the Packers. Jefferson, Thielen, and Cook touched the ball on 42 of those plays. That's 60%. And there's a reason they put up over 400 yards of offense. That's been the winning formula against Green Bay. It happened against the Chargers. And so Vikings can do it again against the Niners, especially on the road in a tough environment. That's the way they can kind of get the lead and try to get a win.
All right, this is my favorite part. It's really become my favorite part of the show. We're going to ask Keiana for a hot take. But first, Keiana, I must set the stage. Eric has almost been perfect in his record of getting his hot takes correct. I don't know what he has. I don't know if he's got some type of Miss Cleo sense or what, but he has been able to predict it pretty well. So let me hear your hot take. No pressure.
Oh man, no pressure. I have to follow behind Eric, who's been nailing it all season long. I don't know what yours is yet, Eric, but on our end, I'm crossing my fingers that maybe this week it changes a little bit. But for the 49ers, my hot take, I'm going to go back to the guy I was just talking about a few questions prior. Deebo Samuel, the kid is incredible. He's so difficult to stop. He can be used in a multitude of ways. So I think my bold prediction for him is that he hits 125 all-purpose yards. Now, this would have been a completely different response if you had asked me this about a week prior, because you would mainly see him as a wide receiver. Maybe he'll get a couple of carries here and there, but after what we saw on Sunday against the Jaguars, I think the 49ers have unlocked another level to Deebo Samuel. I believe one of NFL analysts was talking this week, and they said he's now the prototype for a new position in the league with the way the 49ers can utilize him. So if they can continue to get him open and get him the ball, it can make for a really tough day for opposing defenses.
All right, Eric, again, no pressure. But lots of pressure because we need another hot take. I need to know what's going to happen on Sunday.
I'm feeling the heat. I got to keep it up. All right. I'm going to go with something that Justin Jefferson has not done in his career, and that is he's going to get a 3rd straight 100-yard game. Believe it or not, like I said, he has not done that yet in his season and a half of his 2-season career. He's done it twice. He's had 100 yards, in back-to-back games, but he has not had 100 yards in 3 straight games. He has been money the last 2 games with 312 total receiving yards. I think he gets over 100 again to help lead the Vikings offense.
All right, I had no idea. The more you know. Thanks, Eric. Well, the more we know about this matchup, the better. So, Keiana, let's talk a little bit about the 49ers win if.
The 49ers win if, honestly, they just unlock that recipe that's worked the last 2 weeks. You're playing consistent football, you're playing complementary football, and you're getting off to a hot start. I think we've seen on multiple times this season that when the 49ers play from behind, they're not playing their standard of football. They're obviously, eliminating that run game. They're playing through the air. They're putting Jimmy Garoppolo in some of those tough, challenging positions. I think if this 49ers team can do what they've done, getting off to a hot start, dominating that time of possession, keeping the opposing defense on the field, tiring them out, and playing their style of football, not to mention getting the ball in Deebo Samuel's hands, that is a prime recipe for the 49ers to get a Week 12 win.
Okay, Eric, time to cook up your own recipe. The Vikings win if.
Yeah, the Vikings win if they win the fourth quarter. And that is similar to what Keiana said. That's a recipe that has worked for them the last 2 weeks. We saw it out at SoFi Stadium against the Chargers. They were up, they were trailed, but in the final 15 minutes, they pulled ahead and got the win over the Chargers. We all saw the crazy border battle on Sunday where they were winning and then it was tied late against Green Bay, but they had the ball last and they got a last-second field goal to win. Winning the fourth quarter has always been a point of emphasis under Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer. But given the fact that every game has been close, 9 out of 10 games this year has been decided by 7 points or less, the Vikings have to win the fourth quarter if they want to win games. Because if you ask me, every game is going to be close. It doesn't matter who they play. I think the Vikings have shown every game is going to be close from here on out. Win the final 15 minutes and let's get to 6-5.
I was about to say, I think my hot take of the show, which I never have one, but if I had to have one today, would be I predict another close game, which might not be good for either of us. Thank you so much to 49ers senior reporter Keiana Martin for joining Opposing Viewpoints. You can watch the 49ers and Vikings on Fox. Kickoff set for 3:25. For Vikings team reporter Eric Smith, I'm Tatum Everett. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.